The story of Thabo Bester, man, it's an interesting one. But for me, one of the key factors that I've taken from the story is that South Africa runs it's a porous system, which has pores. If you've got the money and the connections, you can get away with anything in South Africa. There's a lot of situations where people have either died, people who are going to implicate others have either died or vanished. There's a lot of stories where people have done terrible things to others and they haven't been, there's no justice having been served in that regard. The story of Thabo Bester is one story in many other stories like that. It's not a special case, but there's a few things that I'd like to point out. Firstly, the prison where Thabo Bester was, it's being run by G4S. G4S is a foreign company, man. It's not a South African business. How does G4S get to run a South African prison? What's going on in this country, man? Why would a private business, a Western business, run an African prison?
But maybe an answer to that would be maybe there's no one who has the capacity to run, this who has the proper skills to run something like a security service and stuff like that.
And anyone who would believe that,
because South Africans don't really start businesses.
Okay.
Especially security companies.
Yes. No, I get you. But why would a prison need to be run privately, whereas those citizens were tried and tested in public courts? Why would they be taken to a privately run prison?
Maybe the public prisons were full.
Interesting. They seem to be quite full anyway. Why are prisons so full anyway? Are we not correcting it? Because they are called correctional services. We should be correcting this.
But people come out worse.
Yes, which means there's no correctional services then.
They come out worse.
There's no correctional services because this time
recruit others.
Yo, bro, it's bad, man. It's really bad. Now, I am completely against the idea that G4S can run an African prison. There should not be any case where a European, Western, Asian, or any other external force runs things in an African country. Should not happen. Not now, not ever. It should not happen, man. You have this former Nazi business, IBM, the computer company. I would like to know how they are involved in the prison system in South Africa, because I know in America they supply prison softwares. This is an extension of colonization, man. Why would a European or American company run a place where South African people are imprisoned? How do we ensure quality? How do we do that? Now Thabo Bester escaped from G4S prison, and they're still denying that actually it's him who escaped. They say he's dead.
And they say that some assassins are prisoners as well.
Yes, I've heard that actually from a former prisoner who says they used to be outsourced. They used to be hired, sometimes by powerful people within the system, politicians and all that, to go and execute certain people for business deals or whatever disagreements they had. So this is a criminal syndicate that's running the country.
A ghost.
My goodness. And you can't track those people. Unfortunately, it's the same thing with foreign nationals who don't have any documentation. They go and kill, you can't track them. It's crazy, man, in South Africa. So Thabo Bester was in this prison, I think in Pretoria. I forgot the name. Is it Mangaung? I'm not sure. But he was in this prison and apparently there was a fire. But people say the fire was only in his cell. And the body that was found there, I think at that time was confirmed to be his body. But then now, reports do say it was not his body. So what happened is that on an ugly day, one lonely day, someone went to Sandton for some shopping and found Thabo Bester living his best life there. And then that picture trended on social media. And then it's that picture that triggered this question of, no, this is Thabo Bester, man. What happened to him? But then if you study the guy, you realize that he started scamming people from a very young age. I was listening to this old white woman and white man that were talking. So apparently, back in the day, during matric exams, they met this boy who acted confused and lonely and in need of help. It's a white couple. And this boy told them that he doesn't have money for transport. He needs to go and write his matric exams. They helped this boy. He went to, what's the name of the school? Highfield High. I'm not sure, but it's a school along those names. They took this boy to inside the car. They didn't give him money for transport. They actually took him. So she went and dropped her kids off at school, then took Thabo Bester in. That was Thabo Bester, the schoolboy in uniform. Hyde Park, I think Hyde Park High. Took him to the school. And then I think Thabo Bester took her numbers. And then this scamming thing started like that. But not only that, he scammed people who owned B&Bs as well. So he would hop on and off from one B&B to another without paying. So he would go to a B&B, stay, finish his stay, and then not pay. I don't know how the system worked back in the day. Maybe they paid after staying, but he didn't pay B&Bs. And he was red listed or whatever. But they were on the alert for him. So he had signs that he would be a scammer and a criminal from a young age. He had it in him. It's crazy that no one actually seemed to identify that and try to intervene early on. But leave that. There's an interview of him that was done where he was talking about how a lady died. He actually killed a lady. I think that's why he was actually imprisoned. He killed a lady, amongst other things. And then he didn't even deny it. He didn't even show any remorse when he was explaining how this killing happened. He actually said, no, I killed her by mistake. He says, the knife happened to be in my hand and I happened to stab her. But that was not my intention because I could have stabbed her earlier. You see, purely clean. Nothing to be feeling remorseful about. He said it very clean and he was like, no, I didn't stab her. I didn't plan on doing it, but I did it. So you could see there's a strong psychopathic element.
He has a knife in his hand.
Yeah, no, he was obviously going to kill her. All he's saying is that it was not necessarily premeditated. So he admits that, no, I killed her, but I didn't meditate. I didn't plan to kill her. It's just that there was some friction.
That caused me to kill her.
Yes, and I ended up killing her, but it was not premeditated. That's what he means. And you could see, he's very straight-faced, no emotions. Yeah, very psychopathic, Machiavellian character there. But here's the thing, man. So that's the first issue with me, the prisons, and how they are sort of like an extension of colonialism. Because remember, during colonialism, you had black people working for white people, right? By white people, I mean the white government and white corporations. Now that had to stop. So you needed to have an active and, very, very, very thriving prison system to keep labor and to keep people there. So those people who are in prison are actually making money for the prisons. And I think that's one of the major motivations for privately run prisons. Because if it's privately run, then there's even more money that can be made. Stronger element of money laundering through the prisons. There's going to be more escapes. Because you need these people to escape to commit more crimes.
Another thing, if you are a private prison, you can get funding from government.
That's the whole point. Making money.
Especially if you have a lot of people inside.
That's the whole point.
More money.
Yes, that's the whole point of prison. So the people who lost their slaves and lost their garden boys and kitchen girls, they can still make money through the prisons. They've got garden boys and kitchen girls in the prisons. But now these are not just normal garden boys and kitchen. These are murderous garden boys and kitchen girls. So they can allow them to escape, allow them to scam people, allow them to rape people. So only so that they can keep the cycle going on. So that they can have more numbers, so that they can take advantage of the government spending. Your money, your tax money, your pay as you earn, your value-added tax, your business tax, income tax, all the taxes that you pay, that's what's funding G4S and these other prisons that are being run. Very, very, very unbecomingly. Ineffectively. It's so bad, man, that, we've got criminals and murderers running the streets. Once you do something wrong as a good citizen, they'll be so quick to come at you, man. They'll be so quick to come at you and arrest you by one mistake alone. That's not even worthy of a prison sentence. But they will be so quick to come so that you can pay bail and pay your court fees and all that. So with Thabo Bester, man, here's the thing. For me, I'm gonna highlight points that I found interesting. That this guy had women coming to visit him, to have sex with him. He had conjugal visits. He had a lot of women to come and sleep with him whilst in prison. A prisoner, a murderer, a rapist, a scammer. But then these women still liked him.
Even the warden officers.
Yeah, the warden officer. They sleep with prisoners. They even bring strippers in. These guys have got brides, man, and events in prison. They're living the nice life. Laptops.
See them on Facebook.
My brother,
Online.
if you had watched the podcast and chill with Meg G, there was an episode where they called a guy and found out that he's actually in prison whilst he's calling them.
Remember.
And this guy has a Twitter account. He's busy posting on Twitter. I'm like, so sometimes you fight with people online, they're in prison. And when they threaten you, you better believe it, because when they get out, they'll come looking for you. But man, here's the thing, né? There's a phenomenon called Hybristophilia. It's a sexual disorder. I don't know if they call it a disorder, but it's a sexual deviancy, such as pedophilia, zoophilia, necrophilia. You know, pedophilia is old people who want to sleep with little children. Zoophilia is humans who want to sleep with animals. Necrophilia is people who want to sleep with corpses, like dead bodies. Now there's one called Hybristophilia, and it's only women, at least for now, who have this thing. Only women. Hybristophilia is the sexual attraction to people who commit crimes. Women love people who commit crimes. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all women, and I'm not saying majority of women, but I'm saying only women. Not all, but only women have this phenomenon. They love these guys who commit crimes. In America, man, these serial murderers, né? They have entire support groups dedicated to them by these women. You've got women who go to prison who fall in love with prisoners. They would rather wait for a murderer to come out of prison, marry them, give them babies, than to be with a good guy next door.
They come crying.
Yes, when that guy shows the real colors. Yes, because he's a murderer.
But you married him.
It's called hybristophilia, man, and they love it. These women who have this thing in them, they love it. That's why I was telling a friend of mine, because he was arguing with his lady if men should go all in terms of their feelings with women. I said, no, men should not go in. Because the moment you are too in love with a woman, then you show weakness, and women don't like that. Women, they like the idea of a man than the actual reality of a man. So when you show them the idea of this strong guy, they love it. But then when you give them the reality that sometimes I'm weak, sometimes I want to give up, sometimes I want to cry, a lot of women, not all, but a lot, they will find that, unattractive. So you see a lot of women, they get attracted to superheroes or vampires or these characters in fiction or literature.
But you find them saying that men should cry and all those stuff.
They are fooling you because they're not going to be attracted. You start crying, she'll go and tell her friends that fool is busy crying there. Yeah, no, for real, man. So you better not cry, my brother. Rather cry to your mother or to your homies. Trust me, you don't want to cry. But then you see them, they like literature, man. They'll be reading this. You see, there's this movie, Twilight. It's a vampire human love dilemma. Hey, ladies love Twilight, man, because it's this guy who's all powerful, capable of killing and all that. He will kill for his women, and women love it. You go to 50 Shades of Grey. There's this twisted guy who puts a woman under his dominion. He beats her up. He punishes her. Women love it. And you're like, what the hell is going on? So there are women who are like that. That's why you see with guys like Thabo Bester, you'll have a Dr. Nandipa. For every Thabo Bester, there's a Dr. Nandipa. And there's crowds of Dr. Nandipas. Dr. Nandipa, she has a practice in Santon. She would rather give up on the practice to be with this guy who's a murderer and a rapist. And guys, don't even bother yourselves by trying to make her feel guilty. She doesn't feel guilty. She's actually enjoying it. She loves being on the run with Thabo Bester. She wants to be with Thabo Bester. She's not by mistake. She doesn't regret anything. She's not going to regret it. It's who she is. It's who they are. These people love it and they want to keep it this way. So stop trying to be a hero. Don't save her, my brother. She doesn't want to be saved. And men need to be aware of this, and other women need to be aware of this as well. So that is the second highlight I wanted to make about this Thabo Bester thing. He had guys like that. Women love them. Women love these murderers, evil, psychopathic guys. They tend to love them. I'm pretty sure there are women who liked Jeffrey Dahmer. You remember Jeffrey Dahmer, the guy who used to target gays? He had an issue with his identity. I don't know what was happening with him. But I'm pretty sure after that guy came out, after it was revealed to the USA that this guy is like this, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of women who created online platforms so that they can discuss, oh, this guy is, he's so nice. Oh, I love him. So murderers, psychopathic, Machiavellian, evil people are loved by women. They would rather subject themselves to that than to be with a decent human being. Thabo Bester, Dr. Nandip. Dr. Nandip was actually on Podcast and Chill, I think sometime last year.
Do you think that might be one of some of the things that make people to turn out to be these gangsters and these
probably
because of women?
Well, let me not say women, but rather the recognition they would get.
The status.
Yes. Yeah.
To be famous.
Look, man, I grew up in the Cape Flats. There's gangs there when you grow up, right? So there was a lot of gangs that were popping up in my teenage years. And when these guys were fighting, young guys, when they were fighting, you had a lot of screams from the ladies. And if you have to show yourself, man, as a guy, you have to carry that panga and show yourself that you're not scared. You see, you have to go first and attack first. The women are
and even stab someone.
Yeah, the women go crazy over those guys who are like that. Whilst you and I are busy studying physics, and women are like, hey, you'll go crazy with this thing of reading all the time. You're busy reading Galileo Galilei. You're busy.
But when it pays off,
obviously.
They will be obviously writing love letters and how I miss you.
Oh, well, hello, stranger. Oh, stranger, you were such a good guy, shame. I always knew you would make it in life.
But back in the days, she was saying, hey, man, stop this boring stuff.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I love life.
It's paying off.
I love it.
Enjoy the fruits.
Oh, my goodness. And
that's all they want.
And this is not an attack. Well, it is an attack. It is an attack. They don't want to suffer. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's important that men understand it as well. You see, it's important that we understand. So Thabo Bester, that's the second thing about him. Now the third thing is how gullible people actually are and how good scammers actually are. People don't realize how you have to be a good scammer, man, to be able to scam people. You really need to be a good scammer and understand your market. Thabo Bester was a good scammer. He was a good one. He understood his market. That's how he managed to launch and run multi-million rand businesses from behind bars. He was able to do that. He finessed celebrities, man. He finessed well-known people in the country. He finessed government officials because he's so good at it. And I know he was not working alone. He was working with these women that he sleeps with. The likes of Dr. Nandipa, the likes of your correctional officers, the guy who controls the cameras. He was working with those people. Yes, we know that. But he has to be good at that.
Don't you think that's some of the things that make people want to go back to prison? Because there's more money to be made in prison more than there is outside.
I think that's a fair argument. I think that's a fair point that you're raising. For the criminals who are good at it, there's more for them inside than there is outside. You see, for a lot of the guys who go to prison, go up the ranks and manage to really have influence, they dictate what the guards do. They dictate what other prisoners do. I think there's
that guy is busy supporting people who are outside of jail. He's inside.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's sending money somewhere and sending maybe an unknown child of his, an undisclosed child of his to school. Yeah, man. That's why a lot of prisoners, they would rather go back and there's more benefits for them inside. There are cases like that. I totally agree. It's just sad, man, for those who are victims when they get in. Those who never committed crimes. Because there are people who never committed crimes. They were falsely accused and they were sentenced and they become victims. Some of them become victims of rape. Some of them you get in there and then you become someone's wife by force. So I feel sorry for those ones.
But then they turn out to be evil after that.
Obviously, man, you've been stripped of your being. You see, you're no longer yourself. So you have to come up with a new personality now. And you have to kill the boss in order to be the boss.
Eat or be eaten.
Eat or be eaten, my brother. So it's all of the fittest, the wild. Yeah, so I acknowledge, man, how good criminals are. Criminals who are able to finesse people, evil people, they are good at what they do, man. And I do acknowledge that. That's why they are effective at what they do. That's why the Western society, that's why America, that's why Britain, that's why all these people have been taking advantage of Africa, because they are good at it. They are good at lying. They are good at stealing. They are good at destroying. They are good at killing. And they've been doing it and they've been perfecting it every now and then. That's why when they want to threaten your country, seriously want to threaten your country, they will threaten your country and your country will be threatened because they are good at it.
They have these psychologists, these professionals.
Yeah.
They are training.
What dedicated?
Them.
They are dedicated. You see,
Bill Gates, the likes of
my brother, when they see a good psychologist,
the likes of Elon Musk.
Yeah, they've got these gatekeepers, of controlled opposition as well, and they've got these brilliant guys who are working in underground basements, psychologists, hypnotherapists. How you can mass control everyone. How you can manipulate, propaganda, the art of manipulation, deception. These guys are working underground, man. You don't know their work, and you don't know their work. It's not public. They've signed contracts that you're not gonna put this public. The only people who have access to this is the chief of staff of the president, the chief of the CIA. This person, that person. That's why they're so good at what they do, because there's investment behind it. And also there's a research that was done. There's research that has been done about psychopathy and the importance of the 3 Machiavellian triad traits, these dark characteristics that define what a psychopath is, and what the likelihood of someone becoming a psychopath. There's research that looks at that, and people like Thabo Bester, sometimes they display those characteristics from a young age. And I think that's a conversation we can have in another day. But I just wanted to share my thoughts on this, that the prison system is an extension of colonialism, because there's no correction that comes from the prison system. It's not correctional services, because people are not being corrected there. In fact, it's a thriving business.
They're being condoned.
Exactly, it's a thriving business. That's why your G4S are getting involved now. I won't be shocked when I hear that ADT and Fidelity want a share as well. Thabo Bester has a lot of women at his disposal, and people and officials, and that's where the issue of hybristophilia comes in. Research about hybristophilia, there's a lot of articles written about it, and more than that, these guys are good at what they do. So you don't have to underestimate scammers. If you've been scammed before, you know what I'm talking about. You don't see it coming, man. So my brother, let me love you and leave you. Please like the video, subscribe, comment, and share. Peace.